What's going on, y'all? I'm back with another video. So recently, we just found out in the news about the death of Tyre Nichols. Now, for those of you guys that know, Tyre was a 29-year-old father. He was from Sacramento, California, and residing in Tennessee. Now, what had happened was that these 5 guys that I'm showing you right here on my iPad, right here, it was these 5 different officers, and I read up on them the other day. As far as much I can remember, majority of these guys had posted bail. They had been released on a $250,000 bond, right? And the names of these guys, let's see, their names: Tredarius Bean, Demetrius Haley, Emmett Martin III in the bottom row left is Desmond Mills Jr. and Justin Smith. So majority of these guys, they had a small background. Majority of them have played football and former athletes, and eventually had decided to join into the police academy and become police officers. Now, what I find really strange about these guys was that they had a union before it was dismissed called the Scorpion Union. And the Scorpion Union was basically a way to so-called serve and protect and being able to stop crime that's going on around them. But, words have a strong meaning to them depending on what you're saying and how do you use those words. Words create energy, right? If you guys are so-called Scorpion Union, y'all have to think about, what does a scorpion do? A scorpion stings. It poisons you. It can kill you. And that's what these guys had did to Tyre Nichols, bro. It's crazy that Tyre has the same last name as me, but I don't think that we're at all related. A lot of people have all same last names, but not blood related. But it was so crazy because we were just finding out about this whole situation. Tyre Nichols was, savagely beaten by all 5 of these guys. So tortured for an hour. They pulled him over, and they had suspected that he was driving recklessly. But everything seemed fine with him when they pulled him out the car. He was wondering, what's going on? Like, it's just like you're getting pulled over by police officers that, you don't even know. You don't even know what's really going on. So after that, it was just like, eventually they become irrational with the brother. Take him out, they beat him up, and they just, just beat him to the point where he was no longer able to survive the beating at all. From being in a hospital for 3 days and just being beaten the way that he was. And let me see if I can scroll down. I think the picture was here. Here it is, right here. So police body camera footage is expected to be made public in the coming days. And there goes Tyre. His face is really swollen, eyes swollen, everything. From his whole face and head is swollen, bro. And it's just a really messed up situation that when it comes to the media, right, a lot of people are starting to become aware of the promotions and agendas of the media. And what does this show? It shows that when it comes down to police brutality, people are still going to riot. That if you can be able to, publicize anything that has to deal with, crime being occurred in the hands of a police officer, this is it's always gonna be broadcasted. There's always gonna be some kind of agenda hidden to it, of what they're trying to implement. It's gonna be certain laws that's gonna change a lot, and basically people have to get ready. You gotta understand, this is a time of war that we're in right now. You know what I'm saying? A lot of people we all have to be able to learn how to protect ourselves. Be careful, be mindful of where we're at. Just get to where you need to go. And be smooth, man. Because this doesn't make any sense. That 5 of these guys were able to beat this brother the way that he was beaten and having his life taken away from him. And you got to question it. It was like, what was the motive of these guys? Because a lot of people will see things and just sweep it under the rug. You know what I'm saying? You got to be able to look at things from a different perspective. Look at it more from a 3-dimensional perspective and begin asking, what makes these guys just that evil to be able to commit a heinous crime like that? Well, I'll tell you, when you give a nigga a badge, that shit is a whole different situation. These guys abuse their power to the fullest extent, right? They abuse their power to the fullest extent, and then now it's just like you took the life of a guy, and all because of what? You know what I'm saying? It's like, what was this from? What was the motive of this? And I hate the fact that, I'm seeing 5 of these guys' faces. They all could have been doing something totally different. One could have made a different impact out of the rest of the group. But they all followed suit and took a brother's life. And they did it in a way that was such, callous, cold-heartedness within their bones to be able to do this type of shit. And you gotta think, did they even know this guy? Was he being watched? Was Tyre ever being watched by law enforcement? What was the motive? What was the motive of him getting his life taken away like that? Just being beaten up so savagely. It doesn't make any sense. It's usually always a motive. Just think about it. If I can make an example, right? If a lot of you guys know about this situation where it was 2 women, 2 colored women, and I think this happened in Florida, and they were friends. So what happened was that they were friends for less than a year. The one girl had moved down to Florida, I believe, to stay with the friend. And basically, the friend had a motive from the very beginning, right? The friend had a motive from the very beginning, as far as from when she first laid eyes on this woman, she hated her. It's just always about that light that a lot of colored people who are, keeping themselves in the right direction, that's always, making a positive impact on the world and being hated on. It was jealousy. Now, the thing about that is, when it comes down to people feeling a certain way about you, always remember, you cannot be too careless about people. You have to always make sure that you know what you're up against, because people can flip just like that with a snap of a finger, right? And it was just all because jealousy, hatred, immediate hatred, trying to dim the light of certain individuals. And I believe that they had a motive against the brother to be able to kill him like that. Because you usually just don't drag people out of their cars or just go shoot at them for no reason. You know what I'm saying? You don't just go shoot at somebody for no reason. It's always an ulterior motive. There's always something behind something that happens before that situation. You had to been into certain issues or situations for something like that to come, and stuff like that just happens. You know what I'm saying? Certain things like that happen for a certain reason. Now, as far as what we know, it's not too much information as far as what was the motive of these brothers yet, but you know, certain things that always come out to the light eventually anyway. And maybe that we'll find out more if, you know, if Tyre Nichols was ever involved in anything, even though it was said that he was a peaceful guy. He enjoyed doing his skating with his friends back when he was, you know, staying in California, Sacramento, California, before moving to Memphis, Tennessee. There's always some kind of motive, some kind of agenda that's being planned. You got to be on the watch out for that. Like, when you're an individual that has a certain light about yourself, you got to be able to know how to maneuver. Because you never know what's really to, you know, be expected to happen. I will always say, just keep the Most High first. Ask the Most High to give you guidance and protection. Learn when to move, learn when it's time to go. Try to figure out certain things that's going on around you. Why? Because like that always has the spirit of certain individuals, because you never know what you're up against. And people have demons in them, bro. Especially like in these last days, people are becoming more cold-hearted, more self-absorbed, more selfish, lovers of themselves, backstabbers. And that's what happened with the girl. Her friend was a literal backstabber. Okay? You have people that's literally out here backstabbing you. For what reason? Because you have that light within you. You shed a light that nobody is able to quite understand. A lot of people can't understand what makes you you. The Most High put a certain purpose for everybody on this earth, right? As long as you're willing to go out and find it, you know what I'm saying? It's, you know, it's a journey for everybody. Everybody has a different plan for their life. It's different timing for different things everywhere for everybody. But hopefully we can be able to find out more information as far as what happened with Tyre. Maybe it was something, you know, hidden that we don't understand just yet. But it's always good to keep an open mind and question as far as what was the motive. Did these guys know Tyre? Have they seen him before? Have they been watching him? What's crazy is that it was said by Joe Biden that, you know, and I can't exactly quote on what he said, but it was just about having to see this type of situation and violence going on. But the hypocrisy coming from this current president is that, if a lot of you know, that he did pass the crime bill sometime during the early 90s, where a lot of people of color were locked up. And it can be for the smallest to no reason at all. It can be to no reason at all on the smallest reasons. And it really happened. Joe Biden has been nothing but an agent of chaos, to be honest. Ever since he's been elected for presidency, it has been nothing but chaos. And honestly, a lot of people will disagree with me on this, but I would say the same thing with Obama as far as I can remember. It seemed like things were a lot worse. I don't know if it was just what the media was deciding to do during his time in office, because I can remember a lot of colored people were being broadcasted that were murdered in the hands of a police officer or police officers. And it didn't sit right with me back then. And this was all occurring during the time when Obama was first elected into the office as well. As much as I can always remember having to sit in school and we talk about these kind of situations, I always had a different kind of eye when it came to looking at things. And I just observed and studied it. And it made me think, like, it's got to be something that's going on. And as I became older, as I got older, the more understandable it became to me. It became a lot more understandable to me as far as knowing what was really the agenda, learning from different people, doing my own research, and understanding what was going on. And that's why, honestly, I can never get myself into politics, because you see, it can go either way, from the left wing or the right wing. Red and blue, they play it differently, and it all comes down to the same agenda at the end of the day. One side just plays it differently than the other side. So that's really my take on it. I wasn't going to be, long-winded with this video. And again, hopefully something, comes up as far as knowing what was the situation. Maybe something else will come out in the future. It usually always happens. There's more information that's not revealed yet, but in due time, eventually we'll find out. So, and I know that one of these guys had posted, one of them was denied. I forgot which one it was, but anyway, I'm gonna call it a night. Just wanted to, get my input on this whole situation. Hopefully you guys have a good night. And with that being said, peace.